Russia's place in the G20 is not jeopardized by the invasion of Ukraine. Outraged international leaders ejected Russia from the Group of 8 developed countries in 2014, renaming it the Group of 7, G7. A group of nations that gather to discuss major topics including trade, economy, and security. The G7 has stayed at 7. This week, when world leaders convened in Washington for spring meetings of the IMF, World Bank, G7, and broader Group of 20, it became clear that despite Russia's continuous aggression against Ukraine, its membership in the G20 is secure. The G20 and affiliated bodies will continue to include Russia despite Western governments' pariah status. That seems less probable now that other nations, notably China, Brazil, and South Africa, have stated their support for Russia's G20 participation. Why would Russia want to stay when its presence is plainly unwelcome? It stands to earn a lot by disrupting events and causing international strife. This week, Russia barred the IMF's major advisory body from denouncing its invasion of Ukraine. Various international financial leaders squirmed, avoided, walked out in protest or remained put when asked what to do about Russia's participation in the group. When asked whether Russia should be kicked out of the G20, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva dodged the topic. Russia's aggressiveness is obviously very, very unsettling, she remarked. Then she shifted attention to the need for cooperation to tackle global issues. Make a list of questions that no nation can answer alone, she added. The meeting was clearly not business as usual, said Nadia Calvino, Spain's finance minister and IMF advisory committee head. As a result of Russia's aggression towards Ukraine, she claimed the committee couldn't achieve a consensus on a communique. After the invasion in late February, the World Bank stated it halted all programs in Russia and Belarus and hasn't authorized new investments in either country since 2014. The IMF says it hasn't lent money to Russia in decades and doesn't back any programs. The IMF's squabble mirrored the issues facing country leaders in November in Bali, where the G20 will convene. In response to Russia's participation, President Joe Biden has called for its expulsion from the organization. The EU, Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Britain, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Spain is a perpetual invitee. Critics of Russia's participation include the US and Canada. When Russia's envoy spoke on Wednesday, many officials, including US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Canadian Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, walked out. This week's discussions in Washington are about strengthening the global economy, and Russia's unlawful invasion of Ukraine is a serious danger. Russia should not be invited to these meetings. Several nations, notably China, Brazil, and South Africa, have voiced opposition to Russian expulsion. In difficult times, they believe, interaction trumps solitude. Expulsing Russia will simply isolate it and make productive cooperation more difficult, said Clayson Moniela, a Department of International Relations and Cooperation spokeswoman. South Africa feels it is better to keep Russia in and work with it to achieve the long-term peace we all seek. President Cyril Ramaphosa accused NATO for the Ukraine conflict. Excluding Russia doesn't help us find a solution to the urgent crisis that we have, said Brazilian Foreign Minister Carlos França during a press conference in Brasilia. The US should not boycott the G20, according to Stuart Patrick of the Council on Foreign Relations International Institutions and Global Governance Program. The US should pound the Russians, and others should hammer the Russians, he stated. Boycotting isn't sustainable. Efforts should be made to embarrass Russia. It would be a mistake for the US to take its ball somewhere, since it would allow China to rule the G20. Wang Wenbin, spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, stated last month that no member has the ability to remove another. To solve ongoing difficulties in economics, finance, and sustainable development, the G20 should practice real multilateralism, deepen solidarity and cooperation, Wang added. According to Adam Lipsky of the Atlantic Council's Geoeconomics Center, Russia stands to benefit the most from the US pressing for its removal. By attending, the Russians risked derailing the whole G20. That gives them too much power. If the US boycotts, the G20 collapses, benefiting Russia.